Social protest movements. Industrialization and the emergence of nation states changed the lives of people in very basic ways. It changed the way people worked, their access to necessities of life and dignity, their relationship with their own work and its products, their families and neighborhood. For many people, especially the poor peasants, craftspersons and industrial workers, it brought an end to dignified and secure life. They were now forced to work in factories with hundreds and thousands of other workers under the control of unsympathetic foremen and managers. They did not have any awareness about what they produced, when and how they worked. The wages were very low and the work was not permanent. This created a lot of dissatisfaction and unhappiness among the people. Things became especially difficult when the factory owners cut down wages, reduced the number of workers, or increased workload on them. In early decades of industrialization, the new political ideas of French Revolution were also spreading simultaneously. People could take mass actions like protest with the help of the movements for liberty, equality and fraternity. These movements helped in the creation of democratic institutions like French parliamentary assemblies of the 1790s. They also reduced the difficulties of war by controlling the prices of necessities like bread. Industrialization also deeply troubled artists and intellectuals. Human values associated with agriculture or craft production and community life of villages were lost. The focus was on reason, science and technology rather than feelings and emotions. The impact of large-scale industrialization and poverty of the working people left a deep mark on the minds of the people. Some of them studied economics and social history to understand the challenges of industrialization. Others turned to poetry and art for inspiration for alternative virtues. It is an image, a lane in poorer quarters of London by French artist Doré in 1876. Industrialization also gave birth to new social groups that wanted to play an important role in the society. Now, the power and influence was in the hands of industrial capitalists and large landowners. The working class movements were becoming more organized. Workers realized their power when they united. They now understood that if they came together, they could bring the entire economy to a standstill. They were also inspired by the ideas of French Revolution and socialism. Similarly, women who were confined to homes till then came out and demanded equal status and role in society, economy, polity and culture. They often joined other social movements like socialism and democratic nationalism to ask for their own rights. Early workers' movements in England. In England, the political protests against the cruel working conditions in factories were increasing. The working population was demanding for right to vote. The government tried to repress them. They made new laws that denied people the right to protest. England had been fighting a war with France for a long time, from 1792 to 1815. Trade between England and Europe was disrupted. Factories were forced to shut down. Unemployment was growing and prices of essential items of food like bread and meat increased beyond the level of average wages. In 1795, the Parliament passed two combination of acts which made it illegal to incite the people by speech or writing to hatred or contempt of the king, constitution or government. It also banned unauthorized public meetings of more than 50 persons. Even then, protests against old corruption continued. The term old corruption was used the privileges that the monarchy and parliament had. Members of parliament, landowners, manufacturers and professionals were against giving the right to vote to the working population. They supported the Corn Laws, which prevented the import of cheaper food until prices in Britain had risen to a certain level. The workers came together in towns and factories and protested in anger and frustration. There were bread or food riots throughout the country from the 1790s onwards. Bread was the staple item in the diet of the poor. Its price governed their standard of living. People seized the large stocks of bread and sold them at an affordable and morally correct price rather than at the high prices charged by profit-hungry traders. Such riots were particularly common in the worst years of war 1795, but they continued until 1840s. Another process known as enclosure caused problems for the people. From the 1770s, hundreds of small farms had been merged into large ones under powerful landlords. The poor rural families who were affected by this had to start working in industries. But when the machines were brought into the cotton industry, thousands of handloom weavers were thrown out of work and into poverty. Their work was too slow and as compared with the machines. From 1790s, these weavers began to demand a legal minimum wage, which were refused by Parliament. When they went on strike, they were dispersed by force. Out of frustration, the cotton weavers in Lancashire destroyed the power looms which they believed had destroyed their livelihood. In Yorkshire, croppers who had traditionally sheared sheep by hand destroyed shearing frames. In the riots of 1830, farm labourers found that their jobs could be taken away by the new threshing machines that separate the grain from the husk. The rioters smashed these machines. 9 of them were hanged and 450 were sent to Australia as convicts. Ludditism. The protest movement known as Ludditism was led by the charismatic General Nedlud. Ludditism was not only an assault on machines, its participants demanded a minimum wage. They also wanted control over the labor of women and children. They demanded for work for those who had lost their jobs because of the coming of machinery. They also asked for the right to form trade unions so that they could legally present these demands. The workers still did not have any powerful trade union to fight for their rights. They fought by threatening to damage the machines and stocks of the factory owners. In many cases, the factory owners agreed to negotiate with the workers and offered better working conditions. In many places, the radical workers worked spontaneously in the names of General Nutt, and in other places there were secret organizations which acted in a planned and coordinated manner. Socialism. Ludditism was now being suppressed by the government and the army. A new ideology was slowly developing which would give the workers a new social goal. This was the idea of socialism. What is socialism? Socialism calls for public ownership rather than private control of property and natural resources. According to the socialistic view, individuals do not live or work in isolation but live in cooperation with one another. People produce is a social product and everyone who contributes to the production of a good has a right to share it. Therefore, society as a whole should own or control property for the benefit of all its members. In this way, socialism is opposite to the basic idea of capitalism. Capitalism is based on private ownership of means of production. Capitalists themselves determine what is to be produced and who is to be given a share of produce. Socialist complains that capitalism distributes wealth and power in unfair and exploitative manner. It gives all the money and power to a few individuals. The rich then use their wealth and power to increase their dominance in society. Individual freedom and equality of opportunity may be meaningless for capitalists, but the working people must do as the capitalists want in order to survive. As socialists see it, true freedom and true equality means that society should control the resources that provide the basis for prosperity in any society. Socialists also believe that because the resources are distributed unequally, there cannot really be genuine free competition. The rich and powerful people manage to move the balance in their favor by hook or crook. Some elements of socialist ideas can be seen in many thinkers down the ages, like Plato or Thomas More. These ideas became powerful when they were combined with the ideas of French Revolution. Babeuf and other radicals complained that the revolution had failed to fulfill the ideals of liberty, equality and fraternity. Babeuf argued that in order to get complete equality, private property and common enjoyment of land and its fruits should be abolished. He was executed for conspiring to overthrow the government because of these ideas. However, his ideas inspired many social protest movements against the factory system. Another early socialist thinker was Saint Simon of France, who advocated for public control of property through central planning. He imagined a society in which scientists, industrialists and engineers would anticipate social needs and make plans to meet them. Such thinkers emerged in England too, the home of Industrial Revolution. Here, a small industrialist named Owen was disturbed by the conditions of workers and the wealth of capitalists, and people would work in cooperation with each other. He took an initiative for building cooperative villages in which everything would be owned in common and people would work in cooperation with each other and share the product of their labor. However, these ideas remained idealistic or utopian. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels came up with a new theory of socialism based on their study of working of industrial capitalistic production. They argued that capitalism is both a progressive as well as an exploitative system. It separates capitalists and workers from their true humanity. It is progressive because it has made possible the industrial transformation of the world, and this productive power can fulfill everyone's necessity. Yet it is exploitative because it forces the working classes to live of extreme hard work and difficulties. The fruits of this hard work goes to capitalists. Marx believed that industrial production will make it impossible for people to live and work on small scale. They will have to cooperate with countless number of people to produce even their basic needs. Thus, production has become an all-society affair rather than a matter of one family or a small farm or one village. This has given human beings a lot of power in their hands to improve their own lives, provided they are able to do it in collective interest. Marx and Engels argued that workers who produced in factories had no property and were at the same time most important for the production to happen. Yet, they are exploited so that the capitalist system continues to make profit. This will force workers to fight better wages and for ending capitalist system itself. If the workers take over all the factories and other resources and run them for common benefit, a new and equitable society could be established. Workers should take over the state government and establish a worker state which should own all the factories and land. The state should plan and organize the production in a way that it benefits to all its members of society. The ideas of Marx and Engels made a great impact on radical thinkers and activists at the end of 19th century and inspired major social movements in the 20th century. At the same time, many other radical thinkers disagreed with the Marx on many issues and they gave new theories like anarchism. Socialism came to India from very early days. As the nationalist movement grew in strength, many nationalists were influenced by socialism. Russian Communist Revolution in 1917 was the source of the great inspiration for Indian nationalists. Particularly, as the revolutionary government declared that it will support all the nationalist causes. Many leaders like M.N. Roy, Bhagat Singh, Jawaharlal Nehru, etc. were enthusiastic socialists. As factory production developed in Indian cities too, many leaders organized trade unions among workers. They too were influenced by the ideas of Marxism and went on to found the Communist Party of India in 1920s. Women's movement. During medieval and early modern times, women were dominated by men across the world. They did not have access to property or civil rights like voting, etc. They were mostly restricted to domestic work like cooking, bringing up children, taking care of elderly at home, and assisting men at work. This started to change with the industrialization as women began to be employed in factories in large number. When the French revolutionaries were preparing the Declaration of Rights of Men in 1791, many French women protested against this and drafted a separate Declaration of Rights of Women. Of course, this declaration was never passed by the French Assembly. However, the goals of women's movements in Europe and America were that women should be treated as equal of men, that they should have right to participate in government through voting and holding public posts. The movement for extending the right to vote to all sections of population became stronger from 1830 to 1870. In countries like England, women came out in large number demanding the right to vote. Russian Revolution was the first to grant such right to vote all women in 1917. The right to vote was extended to some women in England 1918 and all adult women by 1928. Gradually, this was accepted by the most democratic countries. As women participated more and more in public matters, they realized that women were treated unequally in most sectors, whether education, health, property rights, or employment. Many women writers like Virginia Woolf wrote about how men dominate over women and how women have themselves become subjects of this domination. A new phase started in the women's movement after Second World War. It focused on gaining equality for women in all aspects of life. They campaigned against the cultural and political inequalities which they felt were linked to each other. First wave of feminism focused on absolute rights such as suffrage. Second wave of feminism focused on other aspects of equality, such as end to discrimination in all aspects of life, including education and health. In our country, women participated in the national movements and leaders like Mahatma Gandhi specially emphasized the importance of women in the movement. Thousands of women joined the freedom movement and helped the shape of ideas of the nationalists. As a result, when India became independent, women were given complete legal equality vis-a-vis men. It also sought to end discrimination against them in property laws, etc. Even though legal equality was achieved, women all over the world, including India, still do not have real equality.